The Ensemble podcast is intended for professional financial advisors. This content is created in partnership with our sponsor, Net Wealth Investments Limited, ABN 85090 569 109, AFSL 230975, and is limited to publicly available information. Before acting on any general advice, you should consider whether appropriate and obtain financial advice from a qualified financial advisor. Ensemble does not hold an AFS license and does not provide any financial advice or services or endorse any general advice. If a PDS or IM exists, you should obtain a copy and review it thoroughly before making a decision.
AdviceTech. As if it wasn't enough to be across TMDs, alpha, beta, rule of 72, and all the other nuances of financial advice. Now, advisors are expected to be across all the technology options too, and there's so many of them. But never fear, Peita D is here. Join me each week on a journey of discovery through the software and apps on offer for advisors and advice businesses. So let's dive in, fellow advice explorers.
This podcast is proudly sponsored by NetWealth. Imagine a world where you can offer clients access to local and international investments. A world where you can engage with clients meaningfully, backed by powerful data and insights with mobile-friendly technology. A world where you can build business efficiencies through scaled managed accounts and bulk reporting. And a world where you can get all the latest news, research and insights to spot the changes that really matter. Wealth is more than just money. It's about opportunity and progress. A world of opportunity awaits you at netwealth.com.au/woo.
Hello and welcome to the Ensemble Advice Tech Podcast. I'm Peita Diamantidis, and the guest joining me here today to deep dive into Feedsy has worked as part of the Blind Sporting Council approving grants for blind and vision impaired athletes, has walked the Kokoda Trail way back in 2007, so that's like an old hand of that Kokoda Trail stuff, and coached his kids' footy team. I'm assuming that's AFL, given, you know, we're talking about an Adelaide-based or South Australia-based person. So thank you so much for joining me on the show, Steve Holmes.
Hey, Peter. Great to talk to you again. It's been a long time, and I really appreciate the opportunity to speak today.
Not at all. We were just saying it has been a very many years since we last first met as part of an advice community and interacted. And you guys were, I guess, early in the days of Feedsy back then. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of the stuff that you're doing now. But before we talk about Feedsy, let's just talk about you as a tech user. Mm-hmm. What is your most used emoji? Do you even use emojis?
I do. And yeah, it have to be the smiley face. I do that a lot, the smiley face. And whether it's on an email, just the colon and the bracket, or a smiley face emoji, I find myself using that one frequently.
Nice. So sometimes you're kicking it old school with just the colon and the...
That's right. Sometimes kicking the old school.
Yep. Love
depending
it.
on what you're using. Yeah.
We remember when we didn't have actual picture emojis. We remember when you just had to do it with what was on hand on the keyboard, right? So then, so when we all live with and on our smartphones all the time, I got together with some friends recently, and we remarked how we wondered how in our 20s we managed to get together at clubs or anything like that, because we didn't have smartphones. I don't know how we organised ourselves. So we all live with these things all the time, don't we? So
quite right.
If you had to delete all the apps off your smartphone, which 3 would you keep?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because you use multiple apps. But I think for me, I love my gardening and my lawns and things like that. So I've got this app called the Beehive Sprinkler app. It's just got my little zones, and I can turn sprinklers on remotely when I'm away from home, and I can just check on them to make sure that nothing goes untoward and dries off or anything like that. So yeah, Beehive Sprinkler app.
That's cool.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And probably another one, I think Facebook to keep connected. Yeah. I love being able to post photos of getting together with family or friends and things like that. So Facebook just keeps me connected. And probably from a business point of view, we use a cloud bank, so in Stripe. So I think just keeping on top of what's happening with the business, is pretty important when you are away from your office.
Yeah, and it's nice. I mean, we are in an environment now where, you can be getting a lot of information and keeping your finger on the pulse with just your smartphone for your business. Like there's a lot of tools now. I mean, in our practice, we use Slack a lot, and so I can be overseas and I can still see what's going on and answer any quick questions. So it's so much easier than it used to be in that sense, to sort of just keep in touch no matter where we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So let's dive into Feedsy. So for those that, and I think a lot of people will have heard of the tool, but just to give them a sense, let's go up sort of top level to begin with, in terms of where you guys fit in that sort of advice tech or fintech or whatever space. What category do you fall under? Who are you normally lined up against? Like what sort of game do you guys play generally?
Yeah, thanks, Peter. It's really about efficiencies. Advisors we know are really time poor, and they either don't want to communicate or create newsletters, or they don't know how to. So we fall in that space where we fill that gap of providing content and automating the distribution of that content out to their clients in the form of a beautiful looking email newsletter. And just really helps them with business efficiency. So we're really under that business efficiency fintech space. And I guess a lot of players are in that area, but we're specifically in the client engagement area of that business efficiency.
And I'm betting that sort of covers over, actually covers a lot of areas, because while it sounds like it's just, we just produce a newsletter, I'm betting that actually it ends up branching out into a whole lot of things, because you want somebody to do something when they read the newsletter. Where do they go? All that sort of thing. So I'm betting that the areas of a practice you help are much broader than just the newsletter. Is that right?
They are, because it sort of opens up into a nice content piece that either the client or the advisor can share socially. It then sort of amplifies what they do in terms of what they are and the ways they're trying to help clients. It gives them topics to talk to as well. We might cover a little bit more of that on how they can use video in terms of introducing their newsletter. And also we've gone into really being a two-way client engagement tool where we are on a quarterly basis asking clients to give feedback about their advisor, to rate them on how likely they are to recommend a family member or a friend. So that's based on all the client engagement piece. So it's not just sending a newsletter now. We are going a little bit more two-way where we get interaction back to the advisor. And I think that's where the magic happens.
It absolutely is. And it's, feedback's an interesting approach. We're just working on this actually for our practice. And the temptation, because ultimately what you'd love is a great testimonial, right? And that's what's fantastic. But the thing is,
it feels good getting them.
Doesn't it? It feels wonderful. And sometimes you do just get those out of the blue. They want to give you some great feedback and they're wonderful. But there's a whole lot of people that would tell you something good, but a testimonial sounds a bit formal and a bit weird. And it's a bit like giving a letter of recommendation. And suddenly I need to be a wordsmith. There's a lot of barriers mentally. Whereas I find, even for myself, if they just ask me for feedback, then it's like, you just want my input. Then often what you're getting is something that can become a testimonial, but it's more relaxed. There's something more casual about feedback that isn't quite as intense as a testimonial.
And the way we ask about that too, Peter, is we, instead of saying in those words, we don't say testimonial, we just say, if they rated you as a 9 or a 10, there's a little follow-up question to say, thank you so much. What in particular do you like about us? So they are providing a comment, and that then translates into a wonderful testimonial because they start thinking and talking about the way they like you as a financial advisor. And that makes the financial advisors feel great and proud about what they do.
Yeah, absolutely it does. And look, we all need that, a bit more of that. I think the whole being a martyr and ploughing on because we love what we do thing is actually selling ourselves as a bit of a dog story there, because we all need reinforcement, right? You just don't have this endless well of positivity. Even somebody as upbeat as myself, you need reinforcement of people going, actually, that really worked. It was just wonderful. And, that outcome was amazing. So I agree, even having it even if the first thing is all you're getting is some positive reinforcement. And, interestingly, and I bet you've got some insights on this, often they'll say something that surprises you that's the thing they like, right? It's not necessarily what you think it is, right? So hearing that the particular thing that you just do naturally and don't even think of, they think is the best thing since sliced bread, that's valuable too.
Correct. Yeah, and it's funny, when I read through the client testimonials, quite often it is, we love the way that you communicate to us. You're always sending us information. And me being the supplier of a lot of that content and the regular newsletter, I can't help but think we played a small part in
Yeah.
helping them get those positive comments, which is rewarding from my business point of view because I love adding value to their business.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so a practice engages with you guys. Do you generally find that, and we're talking about efficiency and clearly it's content and marketing, it's falling into all those categories. Are you finding generally the person driving this is the advisor, or is it generally another member of the team that is the one that ends up taking this on board and sort of taking it further?
Yeah, good question. I think the perception is that an advisor may need someone in their office to take ownership of it.
Right.
And that can be a hurdle with coming on board, because I think, who in my business am I going to give this to? I don't have that many resources. I'm really time poor myself.
Right.
If I spend money on marketing, am I going to make busier? All those sorts of things. So with Feedsy, everything is completely automated. So an advisor can sit back and do absolutely nothing at all. And other than the fact of just receiving that email on a monthly basis and reading the content, so he knows or she knows what has been sent out.
Yeah.
Go a step above that. They might want to rearrange content and also add their own material.
Yep.
But in terms of who predominantly would do it, the one man or one woman advisor
Yep.
would be the person that would be drawn to Feedsy to say, you can really help me. Other areas, when a financial advisor has their own support staff, they might then get a little more proactive in terms of adding additional stories or additional content about what the business is doing.
Yep.
In terms of adding a new staff person or a community event they might be a part of, or things like that, or even writing some frequently asked questions about things to help.
Yep.
So that's where I think when you have a person on board, a dedicated person, they can get more involved in adding very specific, content about what's happening in their business.
Yeah, and depending on, the size of the business particularly, when you are a bit smaller, it does, like, starting from scratch on these things can just be like, oh my goodness, and what articles and what am I going to do and what, whereas if you can sort of view it more as this is going to happen anyway, so I've now got regular content going out, yay, that's engagement, yay, and then, all right, I'm going to put aside some time where we can just add a layer to it. That's powerful because it's, if you don't get it done, it's probably not the end of the world. But if you do, it's only a small thing. And I mean, I could even see, and we were talking about video off air before we pressed record, and you could even have an introductory, little video at the beginning. So, oh, I'm so excited about this month's newsletter. There's this and this and this, and make sure you do this. And like, it could just be a simple thing that positions what's going out. They can see you and engage further with the advisor or member of the team. But the actual content itself, you guys have sort of curated and it's all sorted.
That's right. It's funny. I've had multiple training sessions of late when I coach or teach an advisor or their staff about how to use Feedsy. And we always do that when they come on board to make sure that they can use it in the best possible way. I go through how to add their own content pieces or how to add video, etc. And quite often the response is, isn't that why I've got you for? So you supply all the content for me and just send it out? Well, absolutely it is, but I'm just showing that you can add it if you want to. And we do recommend that you do add some of your own content because it means the world to your clients.
It does. And I think because they're not necessarily coming to you for information. Right. And so I like the idea of them seeing you as, and when I say you, I mean the advisor or the principal, as, a curator of great content. So then create the positioning thing, which could be, it could be a minute, that video. It could be really quick. But it positions you as, thought leader, guru, curator, and then the information comes after that. So there's sort of two layers to this stuff. And so that's why you don't have to be writing all of this stuff yourself, to your point. You just don't have to. But I do like the idea of adding that layer. And also, the brain processes you on video as you right in front of that person. It sort of can't tell the difference, right? It still thinks you're right there. So it's a bit like a podcast too. It's, I've had actually comments from the industry. Oh, Peita, I feel like you're right there next to me. I'm driving and I feel like you're sitting right next to me chatting away. So it's very personal and quite intimate in that sense. And that's powerful too. That's reinforcing the connection with the client in a really one-to-many way, Yeah,
and it doesn't take long to record a video. So I did one this week, and I thought I'd better practice what I preach because I'm going to do it in the easiest possible way. I just went and grabbed my new iPhone, pointed it, and put it on that new video mode,
Yep.
and just did a 1.5 minute video. And I was just introducing basically the content that I had underneath it. And that's what I recommend advisors do as well. We supply a lot of the content. They could just point and shoot, create a very small little video to say, hey, it's Peita here. Got some great news for you this week. Got a really nice little estate planning article here and another one on life insurance. And hey, the third one, which I really recommend you see, is one on lifestyle tips for retirement. Yeah. That's all from me. Have a great week. And that's all they need to do. And like you said, they become so familiar with you as the newsreader, like we do on the Channel 9 News. We turn it on, we become very familiar with that reader. So your clients can have the exact same feeling when they hear from you every month.
Yeah, exactly. And there is also a, there's a great deal of trust that goes in the financial advisor and client relationship. And so to hear your voice again, to have you measured, comfortable, confident, like all of these things is sort of that conditional messaging, right? It's really sort of just reinforcing you there. You're on the ball for them. They can rely on you. I think those things, we underrate that value because without it, there's a void, right? Between, yes, they might get the comms, but I agree with you. You can really amplify the power of that tool just with a little bit of video. And then you guys can do all of the hard work of, what are the articles this month and, what are we going to send out and making sure it all looks good. I mean, all that stuff, it's just a black hole of time, isn't it? Just trying to do that yourself. So that makes a lot of sense. So let's talk about somebody, practice that's new to the tool and they're coming on board. Is there anything that you feel people should get done first? Like, is there any, cleansing of a list or anything like that you feel would be helpful before they embark on something like using Feedsy?
You've just hit the nail on the head there, Peita, because getting their client list right or their CRM right, because that is the source of truth.
Yeah.
So that's where their file notes are. It's where their salutations are, their email addresses, all that type of thing. So the cleaner that list is, the better. Because soon after they come on board with Feedsy, we'll actually ask them to do an export and then just drag and drop that client list into Feedsy. And we can do that every month or whenever they've got a reasonable change in that client list. And every time it just overwrites and updates from the previous month and just adds those new people. Because we can never have a duplicate email address on file and within Feedsy. So it just keeps on adding the new people.
Okay.
And really does quarantine anyone that may have unsubscribed. It protects those. Yep. But the cleaner that list, the better the outcome, because as you know, a really clean, beautiful list is going to mean that you're going to be addressing your clients to their first and their salutation is right, the husband and wife or partners. And it's just beautiful. Like, it's just, when you've got data, quality data, it really has become seamless.
And is there an extent to which that's required too? I know, and it may not be the case for the way you guys send things out, but I do know that, if your bounce rate is a bit high or if that sort of thing is a bit high for email campaigns, then you can get a bit penalized in terms of deliverability and stuff like that. So therefore a cleaner list that, that client is there at that email, as opposed to, we haven't spoken to them for a long time, but we've still got their details. Let's just add them to a list. Like, is there some approaches you would recommend in terms of who goes on the list and making sure those details are up to date?
Yeah, we actually help with the client data too. So I just said that, hey, the cleaner the list, the better, but we do actually help them as well because we don't always find that. So we want to make it easy for the advisor. So if they've been using another program, we'll actually import all of their unsubscribers first. We protect what's happened historically.
Yep.
If they bring all their client data over and they want to start using salutations, it's just a matter of working that a little bit in Excel and giving them some advice on how to update their CRM.
Yep.
You've touched on a really important point with bounced emails and things like that we're getting through. So what we do there is we either ask for their username and password to log on to their domain, or we send the instructions to their IT person. And either way, what we do is add what's called a TXT record to their domain. Once that happens, it authenticates the email sending so that it's a trusted sender,
right?
So that our email solutions are going direct to their inbox and not getting a bounce rate. So that's really, really important, and probably not something that we talk about that often, apart from when I'm actually with a client. But it's really important that it is more well known, because bounce rates, and spam emails are bad.
Yes.
You've got to try and authenticate your domain. And if you're sending bulk email messages, you don't want your primary domain to
Get
lock you
flagged.
out of sending normal emails either.
Yeah, correct. And it's it's something I've discovered the hard way because we, using our CRM, we had to go through that process. And please correct me if I'm wrong here, but the other thing is it's the difference potentially between if somebody's say using like the G Suite and they use Gmail for their email, then it's the difference between being in the main inbox versus the promotion or the the other categories it's going to categorize. Because if it's not so much that it may even be spam, it's just that it's like, this just feels like it's just rubbish. So
yes.
Versus it being something that's been confirmed. Yes, we know that's a real domain name. We know like those sort of things can just increase the likelihood of your client even seeing the email, which of course is the first step before even getting them to open it. Of course.
Now we treat that really seriously, and we really make sure the advisor is well aware of what we're doing and why we're doing it in terms of making because at the end of the day, we want to give them the biggest open rates and click-through rates as possible.
Yep.
And that's part of the demo that we do as well. We go through their own individual site as to what they're experiencing, for their first email to get those rates as high as possible.
Perfect. Well, let's sort of touch on that. So I'm sure everybody knows what open rates and click-through rates are, but so the open rate is literally who bothers to even take a look at the email itself, the content.
Mm-hmm.
There's a variety in what that definition really is, isn't there? It's a bit vague sometimes, depending on people have, those little windows where they can see a bit of the email and stuff. But generally, hey, somebody's opened it. Click-through rates, then of course them taking an action. What is some of the call to action? So what are people clicking through to when they're getting the Feedsy email as a client?
Yeah, it's funny. There's obviously some top articles there, and a lot of them are. We've got this new Feedsy exclusive feed, which is all about how to live better lives.
Yep.
And those at the moment are getting the biggest open rates. So it might be living retirement without regret, or the top 10 things you can be to be this cool parent, or whatever it might be. So it's actually lifestyle type things. So we're getting a lot of those being read at the moment, as opposed to our news content. Obviously, is there and is great as well. But they're really hitting on those lifestyle ones. In terms of other things, every now and then we see that people are clicking on equities, or are clicking on privacy links. So I'm not sure if there's a few compliance-minded people within their list, but we are finding some of those there. And also the contact link. So people are probably looking at that and then ringing the practice.
Yep.
And that's probably one of the ideal things that advisors are experiencing out of getting a regular email. It might be unrelated to any of the content within the email, but they're actually replying or calling off the back of it simply because that advisor has kept in touch with the client and they're showing that they care. And I think that's when something changes in their life, the client knows that their advisor is there to help them. And sometimes they might think, I should call my advisor because this has happened. And then they wake up in the morning and think they need a new iPhone. So their mind goes off with something completely different.
Yeah.
And then the email hits, I've got to call my advisor. I better do that now. So that's where it happens. And funny enough, we get quite often feedback from an advisor saying, thanks so much for the email this particular month. That would have taken you a long time to put together. And the advisor says to me, and I said, thanks. And because it did. And I said, good on you, because you should say thank you. It is yours. Take ownership over it, because it is something you've invested in. You should feel proud of it, and it's great that your clients love it. So I love hearing feedback like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then let's imagine, the client clicks through, like there's an article, they go, oh, really interested in that. They click through. Where are they? So are they going to the advisor's website? Where are they actually going when they click through to something?
Yeah, so when they click through, it can be a number of different ways. We either link it direct to an advisor's blog on their website, which is actually hosted and everything on their blog. So it's actually the content sits on the advisor site. The other scenario is we create a subdomain where it's all the URL, the whole link, all looks like the advisor site. It's branded the advisor site. They wouldn't know any difference, but we're actually hosting the news page.
Okay.
So that's the other way they can click through to. But the very next link is like a contact us that will go through the advisor site. So the traffic is always directed in either of those cases back to the website. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And so if an advisor is looking to sort of shore up their website beyond a big business card, which, it can feel a bit like that sometimes. I'm like, it's not particularly dynamic. And of course, with all of, Google and all these things, SEO, all these sort of stuff changing, dynamic, updated content is rewarded. So it sounds like then by using Feedsy as the sort of provider of that content can sort of shore that up, and it can be something that's getting updated regularly and has new content available via the blog.
Yeah, correct. And I think there's probably two elements that get updated constantly within the website is the content coming in and also the testimonials coming in. So when you have a look at their testimonials, those that have adopted that approach, the testimonials are updated every quarter because there's a quarterly survey that goes out.
Yeah.
And the news articles are updated every week. So there's always regular content on there. So the site just looks alive with people's feedback, with up-to-date testimonials and just nice content coming through, looking fantastic. So it makes a site look alive and well. It's amazing how a lot of advisors come to me and they think, okay, I really want to get my comms and that sorted, but my website is terrible. I really need website help. So I said, right, if that's a priority, let's start there.
Okay.
And we can help them build a new website. So we do that first, and then we say, okay, now that you've built this big, beautiful website, how are you going to attract people to it?
Yeah.
Because people don't just find it.
No. And I think we all need to get over ourselves a bit to that extent. I think lots of us are well, we've got to go online because people are going to be searching and we'll just come up. It's like, no, like, let's be real here. We're going to be directing people to it. Like this is our virtual home where people can check us out and get a good feel. And it might take them a few goes to be sent to that before they'll act. But I think we're a little naive if we're thinking that somebody's going to randomly find us. I think that's far less common than people would like to think.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because 12 years ago, Peter, I started in business and I built a website and I just thought, okay, as soon as this goes live, the phone's going to start ringing. And it doesn't. So you don't build it and they just come. It doesn't happen that way. You got to work with it. You got to do your socials. You got to do your email outreach and all that sort of thing, and promote what you're doing and tell your story and all that type of thing.
Yeah. But I do like the idea. I'm the things that I realize we struggle is an exaggeration, but that we never quite get to in a practice are the things that we don't just make part of the process. So to hear that you guys can also do that feedback, grabbing the testimonials, and it's just part of a process, is a great thing to just tick off. It's something we all need more of. I know we need to do more of. So it's nice to then have a way that just happens. Somebody's just going to be doing that,
Yes.
Because we've got so many things we have to be across. And if you are project managing every one of those things, something's going to fall off. It's a matter of course. So, depending for the listener, depending on where they're at, this could be a way to just tick that thing off. You might have a practice manager in a dealer group or somebody saying you really need to get some testimonials happening. It's like, right, then this could be a great way, combined with getting the newsletter and the content, humming. This could just be a great way to get that in place. And I know it's going to happen,
And some businesses are a little bit more cautious too, Peter. So they might not like the automated email going out every quarter. What they might prefer, and our system allows every advisor to do this, they go into the back end of Feedsy and they tick a box as to when they would like that individual client to get the feedback email.
Okay.
And that might be after they've done an SOA or an ROA. Okay, I want to send this off now. And then the very next day, they'll get an email to say, how do we do? How likely are you to recommend us to a family member or a friend? So get the same email, but they've actually triggered it manually rather than an auto response. And once they feel comfortable with it, they then may up to automating it for all their clients. But they can start slowly, tread carefully, and trust in your process.
Yeah, and that's a valid point. I think it is it is quite exposing to just ask everybody what they think. Like I'm sure it'll be broadly good, but we'll see. But so I like the way that you can ease into that. And to be fair also, getting top of mind feedback is valuable. Like they've literally just experienced a bit of an in-depth process. Then the feedback then would probably be a little more specific, And I think that's the other thing I like. And it's, it's only been sort of watching my own reaction to restaurant testimonials. So I'm a foodie, and I almost never go to a good restaurant without going online, checking out, their Google reviews, that sort of stuff. And the worst testimonials are, great food, great atmosphere. I'm like, that is useless. That doesn't tell me anything. Whereas you've got to check out the deep fried chicken on the whatever with the little like the more detailed the feedback or testimonial, the more valuable it is and useful, for other people. So I'm sure that you get a bit more of that when it's closer to an experience or a process.
True, because and I think it can be very well positioned from the advisor too, because they might say, as soon as someone says thank you, it's a good opportunity to ask for feedback or a potential referral. But they might sort of say, "Oh, thank you. That's so good. I can really see my retirement goals coming to fruition now." And that's, "Oh, I'm really glad you feel that way. Is it okay if I send you a little survey tomorrow, which just goes through your experience and perhaps rate us in terms of how likely you would be to speak highly of us? Is that okay if I send that?" And I go, "Yeah, sure." So you just go into the back end of Feedsy, trigger it, and there you go. They give you the feedback. So it's a nice way to position it. But then you've got this way of capturing that chronically or capturing that in a social sense that you can share and help you grow to get more clients.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the other thing that I'd say for anybody that's sort of running a practice out there, as opposed to is an advisor within it, then, one of the things you could do to make this happen. So one of the things that's a struggle when you've got a practice and you've got a few advisors is you might say, "Hey, we've got this great thing and we'd love you to do it." But actually getting people to send it to their clients or to use it is like pulling teeth. So, don't be shy setting a KPI of a certain number of testimonials they've got to ask for a month, right? Hey, we need 5 from you a month. Like, they should be doing a lot more SOAs and ROAs than that a month. So look, we need at least this many. Now, if you'd only need a few advisors in your practice to be doing that every month just as a matter of course, and you will rapidly collect a whole lot of testimonials, but they'll still be in control, and feel more comfortable about it because they're choosing who. So I think that could be a powerful combination. But there's a particular person that I love catching up with, and he and I wax lyrical all the time about, the great idea isn't the first, isn't the final step. It's actually getting it to flow through in the practice and people to actually use it that can be the challenge.
And we provide this, designated page, if you like, Peita, with all your testimonials on there, and it's a nice little link. Now that link can be on the bottom of your email footer of every email you ever sent. Nice. And it might have a little link or comment saying, "Hey, don't just take our word for it. Read what other clients are saying about us here." Or it might be a pre-appointment email that comes in to say, "Hey, looking forward to seeing you. Don't forget to bring X, Y, Z."
Yeah.
But in the meantime, why don't you have a look at what other people are saying, clients just like you. So they can go to this page and read about all the nice things that other clients are saying about them.
Lovely. Now let's talk about integrations. Is that something you guys need to or have done? Do you integrate with any other tools, or do you recommend people stand alone? How does that work?
Yeah, a good question on the integrations. I guess we call it a soft integration. It's not a real coded one, but the ultimate is to have one CRM. CRMs are quite often hard to get a full integration with.
Yep.
But CRMs like Work Sorted and Xplan, what we can do, they've got a designated Work Sorted or Xplan email that you can actually blind copy in as a file note. And our system, and that's probably just 2 CRMs that we do, but we can just blind copy an email, and the newsletter would go to the client's account, if you like. And so they've got the file note depicted there. But I guess in terms of every page that we put online, all integrates beautifully with your socials. So a practice or the clients of a practice can very easily share the content. So all those buttons are embedded on every story, and the practice can go in, just hit the Facebook link. It integrates and shares it beautifully, through Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and they can use all the links to schedule through Hootsuite and things like that as well.
Nice. So Is there anything either that was like a ninja user that's just gone like, wow, they've really gone to town and taken advantage, or conversely something they're like, I can't believe nobody uses this more often? Like, are there any of those elements of the tool?
Yeah, probably I can answer that in probably two elements. I think where users have really gone to the nth degree and really using it to streamline what they do. One is probably on the video, and I'll just probably quote what one particular advisor is doing. He wasn't comfortable in filming himself necessarily, but he wanted to relate what the markets are doing to an 80s video clip. So he would go through and find a YouTube video. And I think during the lockdown of COVID, he found Never Ending Story. And he put that on there. And then he spoke about the markets and about lockdown, about what it meant and things like that. And he was getting amazing open rates because he let his sense of humor go and injected that into his comms. Wonderful. And he had, it didn't take massive amount of time, but it was a novel idea that he injected into his emails. Really, really cool. I actually look forward to receiving those each and every month. I'm sure his clients did too.
Yeah.
The other one is we can set up a journey, like an email journey, where it might be a review date in our system, very similar to a birthday. It just triggers a nice birthday message. We can do that. But on a review situation, they might have a Calendly invite there, and they might have all their clients with a review date.
Yep.
Sends it out. It's probably 3 different journeys in there to say, did you open? Yes, no. Did you click on the link? Yes, no. And it goes through and actually just helps them book times with their clients. So it could be along that line, but it doesn't just have to be renewal date. It could be anything marketing related to say, I want to send out a piece of content to people, and there might be 3 or 4 or 10 different emails in that to add value to a specific client segment to educate them.
Right.
So we can do email journeys if they really want to get down the path of educating their clients, and that's over and above the regular monthly email newsletter.
Okay. And so let's talk through that then. So the email journeys, like what I'm hearing is sort of like like those Daggy choose your own adventure books that I used to love, where, based on what page you picked, it took you on a different journey. So let's say they got the email and maybe they clicked on something. So it's taking them to, there's another email that might come through. Are they able to therefore see that happening so that they can sort of get a sense that maybe somebody's diving deeply into some estate planning stuff, or like they can get a really good sense if somebody's continually, engaging in that journey?
So it's not probably going to be clear. It's not an AI sort of, based on what a reader might be using.
Sure.
So we don't go down that path, but there might be, 5, 6, 7 predetermined emails, and we've got like a bit of a pipeline of content.
Yep.
And then what can happen is see where people might be in that pipeline and how many open and click-through rates and who they were as they go through that pipeline of content. So they can sort of determine that people are engaging with it. So every one of those emails would have an open and click-through rate on them.
Yeah, and it's it's a bit counterintuitive because when we talk about newsletters, often we're thinking like there's a couple of lumps. I don't know how many you normally have, but I don't know, 3 to 5 sort of broad topics or whatever it is, in a newsletter. Whereas sometimes with something like this that you're talking about, where it's this journey, maybe it's a series of 5 emails, one after the other drip fed out, then those actually being shorter and punchier could be quite powerful. So somebody can grasp something, a single concept quickly. And have knocked it off quickly, and then and you'll get the next one tomorrow, or whatever the journey is, whatever you're designing it for. I engage with those quite well, and in fact, Em from Ensemble does those really well. So she'll just, hey guys, this was the conversation happening in this channel on the community. It's a brief introduction. It's super short. Either you click through or you don't. It's a really easy thing. There's no scrolling or so it's an interesting using both methods because they will appeal to different people in different stages. So it's the journey thing makes a lot of sense as a different way to engage.
I suppose the other thing we can do when some of the advanced users have got multiple segments within their client data, and we import those, and they can very easily send a campaign out to accumulators or retirees, so we've got all that broken down. But if they've got one of those fields might be advisor name, they've got 5 or 6 advisors in their business, we can customize that advisor name and use it almost as a mail merge into the email. And that then allows anything else to be mail merged, much like we did with our Word documents years ago to say, insert merge field here. We could make it quite personal, but in a digital way on on an email newsletter.
Yeah, which is great too. I think it's it's hard. And I'm just reflecting actually, because we all get, and once we're in a practice, we all get loads of provider emails, whether it's the platform or fund managers or insurers or whatever they are. And there's nothing stranger than getting one from the CEO. I mean, they do, I get why they're doing it because they're putting importance on it, but it seems a bit weird. Like, that CEO doesn't know who I am. Whereas if it's the person I'm dealing with, and you can see their name and you know who they are, that once again feels more personal.
Yeah.
That
and we
feels
can merge that into the email title as well, and the from, all that sort of thing, just to make it's all about being, custom, make it, friendly, and to come from a trusted source, which is, your financial advisor.
Yeah, fantastic. So what's on the development, like what's coming up? What are the things that are either, definitely on the development path or release path? And are there any things way down the track that you're, I'd love to be doing this, that's something that's a bit more pie in the sky, but that you're excited about?
Yeah, we've just launched a couple of really exciting things, which I love at the moment. I mean, design, we've updated all of our templates, which look really, really cool. We quite often get asked, when I say quite often, we do get asked about specific content to say, Steve, I would love to see more self-managed super fund articles or a estate planning article or whatever it might be. So we've actually opened up a portal on our website where advisors can have a closer two-way relationship with me, say, for example, because I've been picking a lot of that content. But if an advisor wants something specific, they can put an idea, a content request through our website. We'd go and write it, and it would go back to them. Okay. We can either do that on a one-to-many basis, which doesn't cost anything. We just get their ideas out to the community, or a one-on-one basis where we just write a piece of content for that practice. So that's just been launched. But I guess what we are looking at now, we talked about the client feedback or the survey type questions where, hey, what do you like about us? Rate it between 1 and 10, and we give you business a net promoter score. We do all that, but we don't do it by text messaging. So I think content out by text wouldn't work. I don't like that idea. But in relation to client feedback from a business, hey, rate us between 1 and 10. What do you like? And give us a few comments. I think that would work really well by text. Yeah, so that's where we're sort of going next.
Almost like Messenger, like a bot when you do Messenger, use Messenger for that same thing. So it's sort of just asking, that makes sense. And if it means they can do it straight away and that feels a bit easy, and you might increase the number of responses, perhaps.
And we can auto do that as well. So if we've got all the mobiles in the system, it might be after an appointment, a text message is sent the day after instead of an email. So it's just giving advisors that particular option.
Yeah. Awesome. And so, we've covered a fair bit. Is there anything we've missed? Any elements of what you guys do that we've missed, do you think?
I think we have pretty well covered everything, but I think probably just one switch probably like to leave you with. We had to, and this is all about client feedback, Peita, and what it can mean for an advisor, because we had a situation where it was around the COVID, or just pre-COVID, around the COVID time anyway, where licensees were changing. A lot of businesses were closing for various reasons. And a financial advisor came to me and said, you know what, I'm feeling really depressed, bad about what I'm doing. I can't see a way forward and things like that. And I said, how about just stop paying us for a period of time? And when you're ready, I would like to show you pretty awesome, pretty special. So he came back probably 6 months after, and he said, I'm ready to sort of start back again. I said, okay, let's survey your clients. And we did that. And all these really positive feedback came back. And he got, you're a great advisor, you're a great person, you take good care on us, you're in all these sort of things. And he said, read them all, and he thought, wow, for the first time in a long time, I'm actually proud to be an advisor. And it's really given me some steam, full steam to get out there again and to see people and to see clients. And that meant the world to me, because we played a small part in him feeling good about being an advisor again. And the best people to tell that story are your own clients.
Yeah.
There's no one more meaningful than that sort of real positive feedback and humble feedback than coming from your own customers. So that was a really good story about what we're doing in terms of testimonials and feedback back to an advisor.
And to that point, when we're asking for that feedback, talking about the rest of the team, I think is important too. Sometimes the person that stands out really is the admin person that took them through whatever the process is post, or some difficulty they had and they solved it, or, like, everybody deserves that wonderful feedback. And it feels great. And you're right. I mean, gee, we felt beaten up for a long time. So
Oh, yeah, there's some really tough times there, and
exactly.
and that ecosystem sort of played a small part in helping advisors through that time. And
it's really important, isn't it? And I think, everybody needs a virtual hug once in a while. And so, why not let your clients do that? And particularly if you own your own business, I don't think we're necessarily good at that stuff, because we're individual. Like the mere fact that we do start our own business sort of has an individuality to it. We sort of fall forward. We're probably not great at getting that sort of positive reinforcement or asking for it. So I think I like that idea as a way to reinforce yourself and even your team and go, look, we're on the right track here. We're really adding value. Like, let's keep on. Let's keep at this. I love that idea. Alrighty, Advice Explorers. If you'd like to find out more about Feedsy, then the website link is in the episode show notes, along with Steve's LinkedIn details. So feel free to reach out to him, and I'm sure he can point you in the right direction or set up a demo, whatever's most appropriate. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. It's been great to get an update on where you guys are at and all of the different layers of the practice you can impact, and really helping advisors sort of plow through that barrier of content and engagement with their clients on an ongoing basis. So thank you so much.
Right. Thank you so much too, Peter, and it's wonderful to speak with you again, as it always has been. It's awesome. So, and great to see your smiling face.
Yeah,
it's been too long. Yeah.
So, are you a current user of Feedsy? Are you finding it's just taking the pressure off? You know that there's content going out to your clients, there's a newsletter, it's happening, and you find even if they don't necessarily react to a specific piece of content, it's more that you're top of mind, and when something comes up, they remember you. If that's the case, reach out on the Ensemble community platform and share your experience, what worked for you, what didn't work, what are the tips you'd give advisors, as this is all about crowdsourcing ideas and solutions. So please be sure to share your thoughts. Now, as for my take on this, look, the first thing I'd say is, a few episodes ago, we talked to financial writers, and that was of course getting the content yourself, but then you distributing it however you wanted to distribute it. Whereas this is getting the content, but also having somebody that then distributes it for you. And so these are all just layers of outsourcing or automation, and it just depends on, for you, how busy you are, how busy the practice is, what's going to work, what's best for you. But better to have something going out than nothing at all. And sometimes, and Steve and I were chatting offline actually before we hit record, that, sometimes we can get in our own way by doing all these things ourselves. And, that can be a mistake. You could use a tool like this over time and then gradually add your own flavor. And, to the point of adding your own flavor, you may find that you're a bit concerned about robo tools or robo advice, or online, or all these things that are coming up that you feel may challenge our businesses or our industry as a whole. And the thing that we have that robo doesn't is being human, right? And the best way to capture being human is video. It's the thing that is toughest to fake or to imply or to make generic, right? So even just having that intro short video to each newsletter that goes out, that you could do sitting at your computer like I am now. I'm recording this sitting at my desk. You could very quickly knock off a video that could just be the intro to this month's newsletter, and could just create that personal connection and deepen that personal connection for your clients. So I'd really encourage you to certainly embark on better and more consistent content for your clients and for your leads, but also consider ways that you can then just add your element of curation or your flavor to it that just makes it more and more your style and connects them more deeply with you. Now, as you know, there's only one skill we need to become bionic advisors. Those of you that have been listening since the beginning will know what that is. It's avid curiosity. We just need to be super duper 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 curious. And so to help you to continue to build that habit, today's Curiosity Corner app that I wanted to take a look at is called Blink. That's Blink with a Q rather than a K. You can look at blink.me. That's BLINQ.me. And their tagline is the easiest way to share your details. Now, all of us are just getting out and about more now, aren't we? We're all going to industry events, or we might be going to networking events to interact with people that might become clients. And so Blink can provide you with a digital business card. So it can be on your phone, have your details, all the different ways they can get in touch with you. Can even have a sample of, an article you've written in LinkedIn or a downloadable, or like all of those sort of links can be in there. And you interact with somebody, I'd love to keep in touch. Blink provides a QR code they can quickly scan, and then your details get uploaded into their contact record. And they can even tick and say, yes, happy to have my details sent back to them. So it's this really quick and easy way to interact with details. Now, if you weren't aware, LinkedIn actually has a similar ability. There is a QR code for your LinkedIn profile you can use when you're at events, but all that does is connect you via LinkedIn, whereas Blink has, of course, your mobile number, your website, all sorts of other details can be included in the sort of little QR code they create, so that all of those details are there. And you can take it even further, and they can create for you a wonderful email footer, email signature that's quite dynamic, looks really good, but based on those same details that can, be at the bottom of your email, whether you're using Gmail or Outlook. I'm pretty sure that they do. They interact with Outlook and even Apple Mail. So this could just be a great way to get, your details, the best way to get in touch with you, and maybe even highlight a popular article you wrote or a YouTube video you did. So I'd encourage you to check it out. It might just make that interacting and getting people's details thing super easy, bit of fun, and a talking point. So check it out and let me know what you think. Well, that's all we've got for this week. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you'll get your Advice Tech fix automatically sent to you each Friday. And I would love to hear other tech providers you'd like me to interview, things that you think are really working, or that you're just sort of wondering what they're about and aren't sure, and you'd like Peter D to go and interview them to work it out. I'd love to hear about your ideas. So please feel free to reach out to me either on the Ensemble community platform or on LinkedIn. And if I can perhaps provide some, further content via a Lunch and Learn or some topic, I recently did one on client portals that helped a few people out, then please reach out and I'd love to add some value where I can. Otherwise, I'll look forward to turning up in your earbuds next week. And remember, Advice Explorers, stay curious.